welcome everyone, and you are watching and perhaps listening to Calling the Audible live at the Sportaria Cage, where if it's in the game, it's in the cage. We have, of course, the Eagle at Master Control, who was having some technical difficulties, but not as much as this picture of Brett Callender, which I can't get out of my head. Let's get that in the camera. Brett Callender, you will haunt my dreams forever, and more likely my nightmares. Speaking of which, I am joined in studio by the living nightmare himself, GM Calethris. Of course, he can be followed at GMCole44. The producer who's letting the show fall off rails, of course, is Mokan. You can follow him at Mokan19.
That's our new MY picture. Absolutely. And those of you who know what MY is, get the reference.
I'm joined in studio with GM Calethris. GM and I had a rough weekend. I
went 2-0. I don't know about you. I
was talking more about the pre-drinking that turned into binge drinking, that turned into
no showing.
A rough Sunday morning. We don't always hang out together, but when we do, it's tragic. GM, I apologize.
Two adults regretting life decisions.
I regret it a lot. I apologize to my insides on your behalf. Speaking of which, two teams that should apologize to us are Gotham Knights and Les Affreux. That was the game of the week. Can we say it's inartistic, or should we just say it was ugly, as Les Affreux won it 25-19?
It could have been better, for lack of me really degrading this game of the week. These are two
inartistic then.
Yeah.
Let's go with that one.
These are two teams who have been around the league long enough to know what works and what doesn't. And especially being on a platform like this, a lot of us expected a much tighter game. And I think we were let down just to see those incompletions, those deep passes that were largely ineffective. Just an odd game for both these teams. I see both of these teams being capable of better. I think that's why I'm most let down.
That's fair. Chris Rive has been leading the team out of the huddle every game so far this season. But is he the best choice at quarterback for this team? This team, of course, does feature Bruce Wayne Canducci. Can we just sort of have a comparison between the two? Like, what does Rive bring, and what does Canducci bring, and then what would be the best decision for this team?
Rive's played on a whole bunch of different teams throughout the history of the league. He's played on Sweet Tangerine Dream with Ed Shoshan. He's played on Mongoose as well. This is his own team. So he does bring that experience and seeing what works for different offenses to the table. Canducci, however, is the more seasoned one of the two. He's played quarterback for longer. He's more familiar with these receivers. He also has that connection. I feel like Chris Rive is a better weapon at receiver, and Canducci is a better weapon at quarterback.
Well, actually, Chris Rive is on pace for career highs. Right now he's at 14 TDs, 6 INTs. He's on pace for 35 TDs, which would be a career high. Before that, though, his career high in TDs was in 2012 winter season with Dark Knights, 22 TDs.
Mokan, I want to know, do you think 35 TDs would be enough to make them a top-tier contender in this league?
It'll be borderline. I think they'll be middle of the pack. If they're able to sneak out some victories along the way, then yes. But right now, with the way that they've been playing, I saw them play during the week. They're okay. They're not great. They're not like how they were 2 years ago, where they were quite impressive with what they had on the roster.
I'm gonna shake my head at that as well a little bit. We're going into week 5 right now. We're going to be talking about week 7, week 8 QBs who have already hit 35 TDs. So I don't think that finishing a season with 35 will put you in the top tier.
I like that you described that you're shaking your head. For those watching in Braille at home, having watched this game, I saw two teams that I consider to be finesse teams in Les Affreux and Gotham Knights. They're two teams that make my top 10 rankings on a week-to-week basis. Do you think it's too much finesse to win in Division D, or do you think that this is the kind of football that can be successful in playoffs and beyond?
I think absolutely, especially in a division where it's so paired. You have teams that rely solely on their chemistry. You have teams that rely solely on their athleticism. Finesse will really get you there, especially when you're outmatched against a team. So you have a team that lines up better than you physically. They're faster, they're bigger. Finesse and chemistry, just really getting that down packed, is the way you're going to win that game, if at all.
We talked about a couple of guys on the Gotham Knights, but As for Les Affreux, a guy I've liked for a long time, but I think he doesn't get enough attention, is Martin Jackson. Can we talk about his role a little bit on Les Affreux?
I think he often gets glossed over. He was their first option at quarterback last winter in Division 4. He's normally someone, because he's only part of the new FPF, is that in the sense that he's made more of his name in the last little while compared to this whole team of guys who have been seasoned veterans in the league for a while now. Jonathan Lemieux, Bruno Pierre-Pelletier, just guys that we see season after season after season on this team.
That's fair.
Matt Domo as well.
In another game, we had Bronx Bombers taking on the Bromigos. They take the win 43-33. GM, if Bromigos was a Tex-Mex themed bar opening in the Bronx, what would be their signature dish?
Preparation H.
In your lack of preparation for the show, evidently. That's also a possibility, however. Definitely get the nacho guacamole with a side of preparation.
Yeah, Mexican cooking in the Bronx would end badly for my insides.
That's for like this weekend. But now standing at 1-3, what is the Bromigos' recipe for success?
I think right now they've taken the right steps in place. I'm very happy that I played them week 1 before they sort of made that quarterback change for the better.
With Jean-René to
yes, exactly, replacing Yasin Jakir.
Yeah.
He's a lot more comfortable, seems more natural at the position, and will lead this team. He has guys who have played in higher divisions with Simon Dagenet. You would say this is basically the Dragons' farm team, and they bring that experience onto this team. And
so farm to table, so to speak. Keeping the restaurant theme for this one.
With that in mind, they're on the right steps right now. I don't see them being at the bottom barrel. I see them jumping to middle of the pack as their experience grows.
James Nowakowski in this game. This is a guy you've played against this season. In this game, we see him going 15 for 22, 178 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. What can you say about his development as a quarterback thus far, and what do you expect from him for the rest of the season?
I can only see him getting better, considering he is a top-tier receiver. He has a lot of input in the huddle from Alex Holowak. This is a very, very strong team. I think he has the right weapons in place, from J.C. Cullen to Mike Sanchez to Hugo Roberge. He has guys who can really, they can catch the ball, they can make plays. They're very football aware. Conan O'Brien as well on this team, Cornelius Furley.
And I'm glad you mentioned, actually, in the last two guys you mentioned were Cornelius, Conan O'Brien, Furley, and Hugo Roberge, who are two of the lesser-known defenders on this team.
I know Hugo Roberge all too well when he picked sixth on the last play of the game.
I know you know him specifically from them, but they're not guys.
It's more of a shout out to him.
Often, yeah, absolutely. but looking at these two guys on this defense, who do you think has the biggest impact on an already stout defense?
It's gonna whichever QB wants to test them. So if the QB feels that Roberge is the weaker of the two, he's in for a surprise. And if he thinks that Furley is the weaker of the two, they're in for a surprise. These are probably the two best defenders on the field. Two of the best in Division D, I would say.
Mokan, do you think I'm a smart man?
Yes, I do. I mean, you do work in a school system, so you are a smart man. That doesn't say
much. But I would say that Fred Millette does not think I'm a smart man, as I called him up preseason. Since then, he's been tearing it up. The Warhawks beat Global Gym Purple Cobras this week, 47-6. How stupid do I look for calling Fred Millette up before the season started?
Yeah. Fairly.
Nice uniforms.
They have great uniforms.
Are they from Sportira? Where?
They are from Sportira.
If you haven't got your season uniform yet, remember, you can order for next season at Sportira, where if it's in the game, it's in the cage.
But looking at you, Crimson Tide.
But look at their wins up till now, right? They beat Purple Gem, correct. Les Aigles, not so great. Tomahawk Nightmare has been up and down. They lost this past week. And Junkyard Dogs, a very inconsistent team. So in reality, are they a legit contender?
Warhawks?
I'm talking about the Warhawks, yes, that's correct.
But just the amount of points they're putting up and just how fluid that offense looks.
They're all tackle players as well, with a former Division B quarterback. Granted, he struggled, but he's learned from that, evidently. I mean, only having thrown 1 interception in 4 games, is one of the top touchdown leaders for passing. They're in great shape right now.
However, I mean, in this game, Millette did add an interception on defense, as well as Etienne Leblanc, Laurent Ladouceur, and Jordan Caron. Are we not talking enough about the Warhawks defense? Are we focusing solely on their explosive offense?
I think it's because the defense is doing the job so well. They're consistently turning the ball back over to the offense where the light shines, because we see that offense more and more often. The defense doesn't have as much time to be on the field because they're causing turnovers.
Mokan, I am known for, of course, piggybacking on your talents. Do you think that that's the case as well? Do you think that the defense here is just sort of like a factor of how good that offense is?
The offense has put up a lot of points. It makes it easier on the defense to play as well. They had a pick six late in the first half in the victory this past week. You can see that the fun that they're having this year. The team is happy, smiling, busting jokes out there on the football field. They're playing well. But again, they're going to have the Blue Devils come up next week or so. But where is their first real test? That's where I want to see this team, and we'll talk then. Right now, who have they beaten? No one yet. I want to see them play a real contender. Is
the real test coming this week, as well as some of the other games? We'll look at that when we come back from break. Until then, everyone, now's your chance to hit the can, go get a beer, enjoy the rest of the show.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for SAGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information, or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
I am feeling pretty perfect right now, GM. I am, of course, Pease Delariz. I am in the Sportira cage. You can follow me at Pease FPF. Of course, if you're following me and if you're watching or listening, you know you're listening to or watching Calling the Audible, the flagship FPF podcast. I'm joined in studio with Jim Kalethris and Mokan. You can follow Mokan at Mokan19. Remember, you can tweet the show live as well. He will read anything on his teleprompter, so please do so. Turning all our knobs and making me look pretty is, of course, the Eagle at Master Control. So if you don't like how I look, it's all his fault, not genetics. Another team feeling perfect thus far is Warhawks. They're at 4-0. We talked a little bit about them before the break. GM, what chance do you give them in accomplishing a perfect season?
I think it's very probable, considering the strength of their season, considering how some of their opponents who they're set to play in the second half of the season are doing. I would say it's very probable. In fact, if there is a team who goes undefeated, it will be Warhawks. And
that's, I mean, the schedule is obviously a big part of it. Mo, if we look at the Warhawks schedule and we look at the games they have lying ahead, we'll look at all the teams' games this week, but if you look specifically at the games lying ahead, do you think Warhawks have the chance to accomplish a perfect season?
Look, as I said before, they have Blue Devils this week. They're going to roll over the Blue Devils. That's a win right there. They don't have to show up. They can give them 30 points, beat them by 40. That's how bad this game is going to be. Les Affreux.
On the subject of Blue Devils, by the way, is it just me, or I've been watching a lot of Blackhawks hockey? Patrick Sharp, Gianfranco Ronaldo, long-lost brothers?
No, absolutely not.
I think before it's all said and done, Gianfranco Ronaldo will actually kidnap Patrick Sharp.
Okay. The only team I think that can give them a good run for their money is in Week 9 when they play the Backyard Bullies.
That will be an interesting game. Absolutely.
That is their true test as we speak.
I honestly, it's very difficult to accomplish. There's a lot of pressure that comes with being a perfect team. If they do go perfect, I will say it doesn't get any easier from there. The pressure mounting in the playoffs is huge, but for the moment, we'll look at the games that matter this week, GM. We have leading the docket. We have Hooligans, DG Goons. What do you think?
I think Hooligans right now are playing a lot better than we expected them to play preseason. They had a quarterback who was coming in after having not played for 2 years, just a bunch of spare pieces, guys who are familiar with each other but haven't really been all on the same team together. With that in mind, they're going to take a little bit more advantage of the DG Goons. I don't even know if you would say their number one receiver on DG Goons, Derek Fontana, will be there, currently on vacation. I haven't seen him in the office for a couple of days, so DG Goons might also be without
the urinal.
Correct. Yes.
Office, obviously, yes.
And so I think that even with Fontana, who is a top receiver in the division, they would have trouble. So I have to give the benefit of the doubt on this one to Hooligans.
Tyrants was part of my swag.
I was really impressed with the Tyrants when we played them this week, formerly teamless against the formerly teamless against the Tyrants. I think both teams anticipated the other would be a lot weaker than they were, so I was really impressed. It's not the Tyrants of old. They're really learning what works for them. They're focusing on that. They're adapting on defense.
It's not the Tyrants of old, but of much older, perhaps.
Yes.
Having rediscovered what made them good in the first place.
And I think that right now, Pardon My Swag are in a sort of neutral zone where they don't have an identity yet, trying to find a receiver to come in to really give them that. I have to give it to not Pardon My Swag.
So Tyrants. Mokan. We have here going merrily down the River Styx, formerly teamless, taking on Diablos. Who wins this one?
You know how I feel right now about your team, GM.
What? What about it?
What about it? It costs me a lot
to input the stats?
No. Look, I think formerly teamless right now. You guys are clicking right now.
3 formerlies.
Sorry, 3 formerlies.
FFFT.
My apologies. Look, the biggest difference with this team now, and I think, is Jonathan Brown. I think he's played very well up till now. Frank Delory has been a nice addition to what you have on the team. I think overall, with whether Khalil Kerr comes back or not, I think that adds more speed, stretches the defense quite often here. Your boy, Miro Velikov, he's rushed the quarterback very well. He's altered throws quite often, watching you guys play early on Sunday afternoons. I think this team, and your team that is, GM, week by week, you guys get better and better and better. Formally. I think this team has a chance to be a legit contender as we approach July.
So, for this game, Mo.
Formally.
All right. Crimson Tide, Global Gym, Purple Cobras.
This is going to be a battle of defenses. However, I think that Crimson Tide are on the up and up, and Global Gym Purple Cobras, coming off of a tough loss, are going to come back just a little bit worse for wear, and they're going to struggle against Crimson Tide. I see Crimson Tide taking this one in the upset.
Junkyard Dogs versus Les Eglin, the match between two teams that are struggling.
I think right now Junkyard Dogs have more of the experience than Les Eglin do, so at this point, considering Jason Rossi is a more seasoned quarterback, is playing on 2 teams, so he gets reps on both sides. He's only going to get better as the season progresses, and this is the time for them to really springboard from their losing streak.
The Gotham Knights versus the Backyard Bullies.
Backyard Bullies right now, it's very difficult to contain Rich Humes. Very solid quarterback, very smart quarterback. And although this roster isn't as deep as we're used to seeing it, I still think that they can come out of this.
I think it's a better balanced roster for the Backyard Bullies. Alex Camus, Brian Mongeau, these have been 2 solid additions to the team. You see it out there on both sides of the football. Camus has come up with some big plays for them.
At the same time, as much as it's really hard to replace a defender and receiver like Steve Sander.
You can't replace Mr. 90210 at all.
That's true.
Mo says that expecting us to get it.
I've never watched a show once in my life. The Alpha T's versus Sticky Hands.
Alpha T's versus Sticky Hands. Right now, considering the matchup Alpha T's went up against with the Blue Devils, how well they did, I think that that's going to carry over and repeat. They're going to use that. It was a very, very high-scoring event, so they're going to come out with a lot of confidence. And Sticky Hands, I don't think, are at that point in this season yet where they can really contend.
All right, 5-star prospects against the 1-star quarterback of the Wolfpack and Terry Tam.
Sorry, Terry. Wolfpack have the size. They have the physicality matchup. However, that in mind, Terry, you can use that mic over there if you have anything to say to me. 5-star prospects. Jordan Moses is getting better and better as every game progresses. He's going from really rushing throws.
I'm not worried about Jordan Moses. I'm not even close to being worried about him. Go.
If you recall, he punched you out, remember?
As you were. No, I was the other guy. As you were.
Travis.
As I was?
Yeah.
That was Travis? Really?
Lance Daniels.
No, it was the other little guy.
In any case, pair that with the strength of the defense that 5-star prospects have, we may see another Jakub Telemak quarterback game this week.
Remember, only once
I'm worried about Jeremy Anderson.
Jeremy Anderson is a very, very good defender who, even now, after being two-way player, doesn't get enough attention.
Yeah, it's true.
That's fair. In the Battle of Bombs, the Bronx Bombers taking on Jaegerbomb.
Jaegerbomb right now are a little bit more well-rounded. I think it's going to be very difficult to keep Simon Duchesne in the pocket. I'm talking about how Bronx Bombers have had 2 two very, very good wins in the last few weeks. But right now, Jägerbomb are a very strong team, and it's going to be a shootout. And I think the first of the two quarterbacks to make a mistake will be Nowakowski.
After their showdown in Game of the Week, Les Affreux take on DS's Nuts. Who do you think will win this one?
It took me 3 seconds to really understand what you were saying. You got me.
Right?
Yeah. These Nuts are very, very good. Another
Which
QB... Another QB who's playing in two divisions, Dave Daou, is taking that experience from C down into D with him. Joel Malkin, great receiver, very, very difficult to cover. Lots of speed, full extension, big body. I think that big body on These Nuts. These Nuts are going to run away with this game a little bit.
That's fair. In the matchup between the attractive Show Me Your TDs and the hideous Hot Boys Hotline, who wins that one?
I have no idea. You have two QBs who have sort of been up and down. Mike Adona is a little bit more seasoned than Tom Gatehouse. I think it all depends on if Show Me Your TDs will actually field a full roster and really fire on all cylinders. With that in mind, that hasn't happened up to yet. I'm still not sold on them. So for now, I will pick Hot Boys Hotline for this one.
In the game, shall we even cover this one? Warhawks, Blue Devils. Can you find anything nice to say? So no.
A lot of hustle from the Blue Devils.
There we go. That's the one.
Thank you, Mo.
And charming smiles all around. Tomahawk Nightmare take on Bromigos. What do you think happens in this one?
Tomahawk Nightmare are too strong a team from top to bottom. I mentioned that Bromigos are really developing. We're going to see them elevate to a middle of the pack team. However, this is a nightmare matchup for them. Going 1-3, it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better because Tomahawk Nightmare are the better team on paper.
Too inconsistent in my books. Tomahawk Nightmare looked awful last week in Brossard. They're 2-2. They need this victory badly.
That's fair. Just before we let you all go, we're going to go out of bounds with GM Kalethris. For those of you who don't know, every week in my article, I make up 3 ridiculous topics. In that, I will ask you the questions that I ask in my article.
And I'm very prepared on this one because I'm not prepared at all. So you're going to get genuine answers.
I like it. So, we're going out of bounds with GM. GM Kalethris, what do you know of sexual narcolepsy?
I think basically this is almost science hour with Duke right now. I'm going to give it a little bit of an explanation. You get so riled up that you in fact fall asleep, so I'm told.
Yeah, come up with an FPF-themed sexual position that is bound to keep up even the sleepiest lovers.
The snapper.
I like that. I like that a lot. I was going to go with the flag guard.
Oh!
Yeah. Mokan, do you have an FPF-themed sexual position for us?
Yes, 1 second.
The bread calendar.
The McDoug.
The McDoug is destined to keep up the sleepiest lover for days, especially after it's happened. Manta rays, they like plankton, but is that a balanced enough diet?
It depends on whether you consider it flora or fauna, plankton. Is it a fish? Is it a plant? There's obviously a correct answer, but I don't know it.
In West Indian terms, it's plantain, boy.
Obviously.
Some fried plantain.
That went even more off the rails than I expected. Jim, how holy is too holy?
When it gets to the point where you lift up your sheets and you're able to see the sun coming in, there's too many holes and they need to be swapped.
I would imagine. Thank you for that, Jim, and thank you for all you've done in this show. Dude, you were awesome. The coverage this season has been great. For those who do not know or are new to the division, know that my season recap for the teams for the halfway point of the season is coming. I will look at your teams in depth, tell you what you're doing wrong, tell you what you're doing right, tell you once again what you're doing wrong, and discuss.
It's the reverse compliment sandwich.
I will also predict your futures and talk to you about some of the key players and your predicted records.
Also, with that in mind, because after the mid-season, the week after, is when Show Me Your TDs and Formerly Teamless play, I think we do need to establish a bet on air.
We're doing that next show, absolutely. It's the only thing in my script for next week.
Guys!
I wanted to...
you have a shot at this, right?
I want to take this time to, of course, thank the other FPF media members who will help me put this article together. GM, Mo, your Brett Calendar even... Your help in putting this together is absolutely paramount. Eagle, even you, although we will beat you this week, so sorry for that, Hot Boys Hotline. Until then, thank you all for letting me be myself.